Good morning, Unity of Carlsbad. Welcome to this beautiful day. My name is Robyn Plante, and I'm Senior Minister at Unity of Carlsbad. And we're so glad that you're here today to join in this time of prayer, inspiration, meditation. And we are delighted today to have Reverend Blair Tabor with us to lead us in song as well. So, thank you for your love, your energy, and support that makes this ministry possible. So let us begin with prayer. As we come together, joining hearts and minds in the awareness of the one presence and one power. We call God by many names that is right here, right now, flowing in and through us, around us, and out far beyond. So we say, thank you, God, for this beautiful day and this opportunity to be your love and be your light that heals, that blesses, that harmonizes, and gives joy and hope in our world. We send out a blessing to our world and give thanks in advance for answered prayer for all who have asked for healing, for prosperity, for guidance, for solutions, for harmony, for love and joy and divine outworking, for these prayers to be answered as we know that the answers are already here in the absolute and are coming into form. And so for the blessings we've received, the blessings here now, and the blessings on the way, we say, thank you. Thank you, God. Amen. And now Reverend Blair will lead us in our first song.
Well, hello, friends. This song is called God's Riches Are Yours. Reverend Robyn told me a little bit about what her lesson is about finding good where sometimes you don't expect it. And that's what the song is, recognizing that good's all around us. So it's God's riches are yours. Everywhere around you, God's good is flowing. You are a channel for God's plenty. You are always one with God's sweet substance glowing. God's mind within you keeps you growing. Turn to the light, turn to the good, turn to the blessing God has for you. Turn to the light, turn to the good. God has a blessing to work in you. When you're tired of telling that poverty is the story of your life, God rejoices. God's love will give you every kind of blessing. With God first in your life, the good's expressing. Turn to the light, turn to the good, turn to the blessing God works in you. Turn to the light, turn to the good. God has a blessing to work in you. God's riches are yours. God's bounty is yours. God's plenty is yours. And you are one with God's love. You are one with God's joy. You are one with God's good. God's riches are yours.
Thank you, Blair. That was wonderful. Wow, what great affirmations. Turn to the light, turn to the good. God has a blessing to work in you. Isn't that so true? Well, gone fishing. Do you like to fish? Or did you when you were a kid? My father taught me how to fish, and he was so patient, helping me put those little neon balls on the point of the hook. And well, I don't remember catching any fish, what I do remember and what stays with me is our quiet, comfortable companionship as we stood next to each other with our lines in the creek. And um, we had to be really quiet. We had to be really quiet so we didn't scare the fish. And we had to be really quiet so we could hear the fish. And it was a peaceful time, this feeling of being at one in nature and with my father, whom I loved, and with God. I like this by John Buchan, writer, who called the charm of fishing the pursuit of what is elusive but attainable, a perpetual series of occasions for hope. So today we're looking at ways to have more mindful expectancy and perpetual hope with another kind of fishing that we do. So I'm talking about the mental and spiritual fishing we do when we're praying for solutions for problems, or praying for healing from ailments, or avenues for prosperity, guidance for direction, inspiration for creativity, and more joy and a richer experience of the sacred in everyday life. So let's go fishing in Unity Metaphysics and a Bible story and see what spiritual food that we can reel in. There are plenty of fish in the sea. He's a good catch. She's a good catch. Give a man to fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. So we know that fish appear in many proverbs, folktales, and Bible stories. And in the gospel, Jesus often uses the idea of fish and fishing. For example, he calls 4 fishermen to be his first disciples. Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. He feeds the 5,000 with 5 loaves and 2 fish. He instructs Peter to pay the tax by finding the coin in the fish's mouth, which means catch some fish, sell it, and go pay the tax. So why did Jesus use fish to illustrate many of his teachings? Well, in ancient times, in his time, the fish represented a symbol of fertility, propagation, multiplication of life. The Romans knew it as a sign of the prolific mother goddess. After Jesus' death, early Christians used the fish as a symbol, a secret symbol to identify each other and connect with each other, since to do so in public was dangerous in the time of persecution. So metaphysically, fish represent ideas where there is a great possibility of increase. So we see Jesus using the fish to represent abundance, that inexhaustible, everywhere present good, abundance of God that we live, move, and have our being in. We know he's a living demonstration of new ideas, of big ideas, encouraging people, encouraging us to stretch, to grow, to love, to forgive, to include, to love the unlovable, to forgive the unforgivable, to include all people and leave no one out. Big ideas then and big ideas now that challenge us to grow beyond what we know or what we think we know, and to grow into more of God made visible. God made visible. You are God made visible. So as we may have experienced that, growing and stretching may come with growing pains. Have you noticed that? Maybe you're feeling that right now, as I've heard many people are, that our world is changing and things that are happening in the world are demanding our attention to see with new eyes, to be more love, that agape love, that love for humankind in maybe bigger ways than we ever have before. To be willing to forgive, which doesn't mean letting an offender off the hook, but it means unhooking ourselves from the poison tip of anger, bitterness, and resentment, and with the desire to make peace with the past and go forward with a clear heart. Create in me, O God, a clean heart. Inclusion, every person, remembering that every person is born with sacred worth. In the family of God, everyone has a place at the table. Even if they're not acting like a child of God, we remember that everyone is born with sacred worth. So this means being invited to let go of blaming, shaming, scapegoating, and using our God-given talents and gifts to work together for the betterment of all. When I was a teacher, I had a career as a public high school teacher, and I would tell my students that there were only 3 things they really needed to know to be successful in life. First one was to think critically, not just to follow along with the crowd, but to be able to think critically, think creatively. There's a spiritual element to that too, right? That's divine ideas we're talking about today. Think critically, think creatively, and be able to get along with other people, to work with other people, especially when they don't think like you do. So back to the fish. There's a very interesting Bible story in the 21st chapter of John that I want to share with you. And it takes place shortly after the resurrection and tells of Jesus appearing unexpectedly to some of his disciples who'd been fishing all night in the Sea of Galilee. And at dawn, so it's not very light out, but dawn is also like new ideas coming forth. At dawn, Jesus calls out, he calls them friends, and he asks them if they caught any fish. And when they say no, he tells them to cast their net on the right side of the boat. So even though they don't recognize him, they follow his advice and they bring up so many fish that they can't fit it, all this bounty in the boat. And so John finally figures out that this stranger who had spoken to them was Jesus. And so the disciples all head toward shore, happily dragging that full bulging net of fish with them. Cast your net on the right side of the boat. I like Charles Fillmore's interpretation of this. He says, man's mind is the net that catches thoughts. The net of his thoughts works hard and long in the darkness of human understanding and gains little. But once the Christ mind is perceived and obeyed, the net is cast on the right side and success follows. So when we receive a divine idea through the Christ mind, perceiving it and then obeying means we act on it. So it's good to check in periodically about where we cast our mental net. When we're in the store, we're on social media, when we're at home, TV, YouTube. There's so many things that try to get our attention. And it's so interesting that on the internet, there's even a word called clickbait with the titles that try to reel your attention in. And I was really surprised that how many of them are about, come watch this and be right about this. For example, titles such as watch so-and-so destroy so-and-so, or watch so-and-so annihilate so-and-so. So many of those. Or watching the news that and just being hypnotized by the pulse of fear, and then feeling exhausted after because there's no spiritual food there, right? No big ideas, no fish. Fillmore adds, the right side is the side on which one realizes the truth that the inexhaustible resources are always present and can be made manifest by those who exercise their faith in that direction. So exercising our faith in that direction. So knowing too that there are wonderful, uplifting things on the internet, on YouTube, on social media, on television. And you're here now with one of those uplifting things. So there are choices we can make to cast our mental net on the right side of the boat. Have you ever tried long and hard to solve a problem, yet still found yourself floundering? Maybe you're trying to solve a problem right now. If so, try casting your mental net on the right side of the boat, a positive side where you know a higher than human wisdom is at work and has the answer. So what is the right side of the boat? It's remembering that there is always an answer and always a way. It's remembering that God is source, substance, life within and all around us and available to us. It's remembering to act on that divine idea that we received. This is likened to eating the fish versus letting it sit around and spoil. Casting your net on the right side of the boat means pulling your attention away from dwelling on the problem. And you know that if you dwell solely on the problem, what are you likely to get more of? Unity has a wonderful booklet called The Golden Key, which is written by Emmett Fox, that has a simple practice. If you find yourself dwelling in worry and negativity and really steeped in that, to do the golden key, which is shifting your thoughts from the problem and focusing on thoughts of God instead. Sounds too simple, but it's extremely effective. So this doesn't mean sticking your head in the sand and ignoring the problem forever, but it's a tool to get centered in spirit so you can receive spiritual guidance and spiritual understanding, that higher wisdom when you come back to the issue. I think it was Eric Butterworth that suggested, instead of calling something a problem, call it a project. Can you feel the difference in energy on that? You know, when something's a problem, feels so heavy. When something's a project, oh, something new and good is being created. So casting your net on the right side means focusing on possibility. And when we do this, we open the channel for our good to flow, as Eric Butterworth says, Unity writer, one of my favorite Unity writers, reminds us that ideas flow from divine mind and the right words come to us. The right questions to ask. Creativity flows into our hands and boundless opportunities appear with a light to guide our way. Light to guide our way. So this week, let us go forth with mindful expectancy, remembering to cast our nets on the right side of the boat to be available to catch those sparkling divine ideas that are charged with power, expansion, and blessing. So now, Reverend Blair will lead us in a song to prepare us for meditation.
Well, thank you, Robyn. That was nice. I have a situation I'm working on. I'm going to cast my net on a different place and see if I can get some God ideas. So this is called Wake Up My Soul. So it's about waking up to what is already here, that God blessing. Wake up my soul and reach for the sky. Wake up my soul, join the Spirit and fly. to bless all creation with joy and elation. Wake up, my soul. Reach out my heart with loving embrace. Reach out my heart, touch all time and space, to flood every being with God's life for healing. Reach out my heart. God is your real home. You ever are welcome. Just make yourself at home. Let all that God is shine through. God lives as blessings through you. Listen, dear mind, for the song of the light. Listen, dear mind, for the harmony's just right. The angels are singing, the heavens are ringing. Listen, listen, dear mind. God is your real home. You ever are welcome. Just make yourself at home. Let all that God is shine through. God lives as blessings through you. Wake up my soul and reach for the sky. Wake up my soul, join the Spirit and fly, to bless all creation with joy and elation. Wake up my soul, to bless all creation with joy and elation. Wake up my soul. Wake up my soul. Wake up my soul.
Thank you, Reverend Blair. That was beautiful. Wake up my soul. So now let us go into our time of meditation with our soul rising and shining. So I invite you to close your eyes and take a nice deep breath. As we center into this time of meditation that is a saturation of unity, truth affirmations. And I invite you to let these words be the silent words of your very own heart. My mind quiets in the presence of divine peace. With God as my peace, I rest deeply and breathe easily. As I open to healing, I am whole and healthy in mind, body, and spirit. The Christ within me assures my strength, energy, and vitality. God's healing power is at work in me now. Divine life renews every cell in my body. I am wondrously made of infinite love. I am healed and renewed. I am grateful for a full and prosperous life. I am an open channel through which prosperity flows. I anticipate God's good. God is my unfailing source. I open myself to the divine flow of goodness, ideas, and substance. I open more to receive guidance. I am open to the wisdom of spirit. Focused on divine wisdom, I know what is mine to do. I am connected to the divine wisdom within through my prayers. Spirit leads me, guides me, and walks beside me. I open my heart to love, and I am blessed with peace, joy, and harmony. I give thanks for every one of my relationships. In harmony of mind and purpose, our differences fall away. The peace of God lives in the quiet of my heart. The peace of God lives in the quiet of my heart. The peace of God lives in the quiet of my heart. From tuning out any sounds of the outer world, let us rest in the silence of the peace within our hearts. So as you return your awareness to the room, allow yourself to return refreshed, renewed, and reconnected to the bounty of spirit, knowing that God is your real home and you are forever welcome. And so it is. Amen. So thank you everyone for joining us today. And thank you, Reverend Blair, for sharing your wonderful, wonderful songs.
That's my delight.
Please lead us in our closing song.
So we'll do the Prayer for Protection, the version written by Mark Stanton Welsh. And we'll do all three verses. So start the light of God surrounds me. We own it for ourselves. And then we'll sing it to others. And you may think of specific others in your life. Light of God surrounds you. And then we'll sing Light of God surrounds us. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us wherever we are. God is, so the light of God surrounds me. The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me wherever I am. God is. Now think of somebody that you want to sing it to. The light of God surrounds you. The light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. The presence of God watches over you wherever you are. God is. So now we'll sing The Light of God Surrounds Us. And I want to remind you as we sing this that there's a copy of the prayer for protection on the moon. So it's circling the planet all the time, that prayer. Light of God surrounds us. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us wherever we are. God is. Let's sing again. Wherever we are. Wherever we are. God is. Sing it once more. Wherever we are. Wherever we are.